was continuously turned down. And the biggest shocker to me is that there's three people that turned it down. It was Chuck Schumer in the Senate, Nancy Pelosi in the House, and Mayor Muriel Bowser.
If I could interject for just a moment, who's in charge of security here in the House of Representatives?
The Sergeant-at-Arms, and that would be Nancy Pelosi.
Right.
Nancy Pelosi.
The Speaker.
The Speaker of the House is the one in charge of the House Sergeant-at-Arms. And the House Sergeant-at-Arms and the Senate Sergeant-at-Arms turned down the request for the National Guard to keep all of us safe from the threats that they knew existed.
Are we going to find out if they got ordered to do that by the Speaker or by the leader in the Senate?
When
Are we going to find that out tonight?
No, we will not hear that from the January 6th committee that has spent millions of taxpayer dollars supposedly investigating January 6th. I highly doubt we will hear that. But I want you to know that when we take back majority, these will be the investigations that we take on. Now, I want you to know some other things that really bother me as we've spoken about the failure and absolutely purposeful refusal to protect this Capitol by Nancy Pelosi, the Speaker of the House, Chuck Schumer, and Mayor Muriel Bowser. These are the failures. They did it on purpose. There's other things I don't think we'll hear about tonight, and I want to remind everyone. Number one, we still do not know who the pipe bomber is. Who is the person? There are videos everywhere. It's all over the FBI website. But we don't hear that coming out consistently from the January 6th committee. You know what else we don't hear enough about? We do not understand what is happening to the over 800 people who have been arrested and charged for the events on January 6th. We don't know what is happening to them, and there are dozens of them right here in this city wasting away in the D.C. jail, being treated like political prisoners of war. And you know what? This is before they have been convicted of anything. They are there pre-trial, and no one cares about them. No one on this January 6th committee dares to ask a question, what is happening to these people and why their due process rights are being so flagrantly and horrifically violated pre-trial. Pre-trial, they are sitting in that jail. Do you know they have begged to go to Guantanamo Bay because they think terrorists are treated better than they are treated there. But no one cares about them. These people have been arrested and charged, and they're wasting in jail. You want to know something else that we're probably not going to hear about? What about the fact that there's a man named Ray Epps? Do you know who's not in the D.C. jail? Ray Epps. Ray Epps is not in the D.C. jail. And I know because I went in the D.C. jail. I did not see him there. He also is on video over and over again telling people to go in the Capitol.
Well, I'm sure we'll hear about Ray Epps this evening.
I don't think we're going to hear about Ray Epps. I don't think so. I don't think he's on the witness list. You know who else we probably won't hear about? The man on the scaffolding, the so-called scaffolding commander that told the crowd, told them, sent them, gave them orders to go in the Capitol, storm the Capitol. I haven't heard about him being questioned. Have you?
No, I have not.
No. You want to know something else? Here's a woman we don't hear anything about. A woman named Roseanne Boylan that was trampled in the tunnel, trampled to death. We never hear anything about this woman. She died in the tunnel of this Capitol, and I saw the video myself when I was in the D.C. jail from one of the people being held there, pre-trial, by the way, of her body being dragged across the floor, and then it was taken somewhere else. Do you know what happened when they were dragging her body away? They pulled her away from someone that was giving her CPR. She was pulled away from life-saving CPR. Why did that happen? Are we going to hear about that from the committee tonight? I doubt it. They don't care about Roseanne Boylan. Here's my major issue. We are representatives of the people of the United States of America, and all I hear from everyone in this body is all they care about is themselves. The American people are suffering from so many things happening from the decisions of this body. But the people in this body and the people in that committee don't care about Roseanne Boylan from Georgia, by the way. They don't care about her family. They don't care about justice for them. They don't care about anything else but, oh, what happened to us on January 6th? Well, what happened to the American cities in 2020 that were burned and looted and destroyed because of BLM violence? Nothing. All that money raised on Act Blue for BLM, it went in their pockets. No one paid to rebuild those communities. Not at all. You know what else we probably won't hear about is Michael Byrd, who shot and killed Ashley Babbitt right out there. We don't hear about his reckless record of guns, which is all we've talked about all weekend here. We aren't hearing about that. Why aren't we hearing about that record? Why? Why isn't he standing trial? He's not. He just gets to get away with it. Did you know, and it's on video, I bet you we won't see this video, but I've seen it and it's out there. Did you know Ashley Babbitt was trying to stop people from breaking in? That is on video. I've watched it over and over. She was trying to stop people from breaking in, and then she was shot and killed. Yes, a lot happened on January 6th, and here's my question. You know what else? And the American taxpayers pay for this. There's surveillance cameras all over this building. If we really want to know the truth about January 6th, it's real easy. All we have to do is release the video footage, and everyone can see for themselves what exactly happened. And I think the American people deserve that. While they have to watch and go through this big cinematic production tonight and carrying on for weeks and weeks and weeks, and the American people pay for it, by the way, the American people deserve to see all the video surveillance, not just the little cut and pasted pieces that the January 6th committee is going to show tonight. And most of all, I want to finish with this. There is something terrible happening in this process, and it's called defamation of character. The 45th president of the United States' character is being defamed, and all of his staff and his family and all Republicans, everyone's reputation is being defamed as lies are being told about all of us and President Trump just for politics. And it makes me sick. It absolutely disgusts me. If we're supposed to represent the American people and we're supposed to do a good job and uphold this place with honor and keep its reputation good for the people we serve, then we should be truthful. But what's about to happen tonight is not going to be truthful. It's going to be a political narrative, and it's all for politics, and it is sickening. And with that, I'll yield back my time.
Well, I thank the gentlelady, and like I said, if you've ever seen reality TV, you know, it's just a couple episodes, it's not really reality. Now, I don't know how many of these you're going to go through this evening. We just have a couple minutes remaining. But I would like to recognize my good friend, the gentleman from Arizona, for about another couple minutes to conclude with some of his thoughts before we wrap up here this afternoon.
I thank the gentleman. And, Madam Speaker, I'll tell you something. As I watch what this January 6th committee has done and unfolding it, and their constant attack of President Trump, here's what I find interesting. It wasn't too very long ago that Chuck Schumer stood with a rabble attacking the United States Supreme Court. And Chuck Schumer said, we're going to come upon you like Justices Kavanaugh and Gorsuch, like the whirlwind. You will know. And he made threatening comments. And guess what? Last night there was an assassination attempt. A gentleman's been arrested for attempted murder on Justice Kavanaugh. And not a peep. Not a peep from the president, not a peep from Nancy Pelosi, not a peep from anybody here. But you had a president who said, let's march peacefully up to the Capitol. Let's let them know you're here. Let's fight for our rights. And somehow that's incitement. That is not incitement. But this committee that's there, Mr. Perry, Representative Perry, they don't care about the truth. They don't care about equity. And I don't even like to say that term, equity. How about equality before the law? They never are concerned with due process or equality before the law. This is a political.
Senator, I've said what I'm going to say about these cases. No one case can stand in for a judge's entire record.
Okay, but I'm discussing
And
every one of the cases. So if you're
understand
not going to
that.
explain it,
Senator, would you please let her respond?
No, not if she's not going to answer my
well,
question.
if you're just going to give a speech, then you shouldn't engage in
and
questioning.
you are not taking my time. If you want to filibuster, you're welcome to do so, but do it on your own
I would at least
time.
give you an opportunity to speak, and you should give her an opportunity to respond.
If she wants to answer the question, I asked her why
Please
she
allow
sentenced,
her to answer the
I
question.
asked her why she sentenced Chazen to 28 months when comparable defendants, in
So
her
let's hear
own
the
words,
answer.
were sentenced to substantially higher, and she said she's not going to answer. Did you? I mean, I would welcome your
I didn't
answer,
hear that.
please.
Senator, I didn't say I'm not going to answer.
Okay, well,
I
then
said
please
my
tell us
answer.
in this case, Chazen, why did you sentence him to just 28 months?
Senator, you're looking at the record. I don't have the record here. What I will say is that in every case, I looked at the recommendations of not only the government, but also the probation office, the defendant, the record, the evidence. I took into account the seriousness of the offense. And
By the way, you know, one of the
ruled.
striking things in Chazen, the prosecutor comes in front of you and says, this is the prosecutor's argument at this point, and the prosecutor says, I understand from my experience before Your Honor's objection, policy objections to the 2G2.2 sentencing guidelines. And he goes on to say, however, in this case in particular, the 4-point specific offense characteristic is justified because it contains sadomasochistic images of infants and toddlers. I'm trying to understand how you see someone that possesses images of infants and toddlers being sexually violated, and you sentence them to 64% below what the prosecutor is asking for. You don't provide a justification other than a generic concern that the guidelines are too high. You don't provide a justification as required by statute. So I'm asking you to take the opportunity to explain to this committee and the American people why in 100% of the cases you have people with vile crimes, and you have language saying they're vile crimes, but then you sentence them to very, very low sentences. And why do you consistently 100% of the time choose to do that?
Senator, no one case can stand in for a judge's entire sentencing record. I've sentenced more than 100 people. You have 8 or 9 cases in that chart.
Okay, Judge, you said that before. These are the 8 or 9 child porn cases. I will say, to correct the record,
I just say to the judge, there's no point in responding. He's going to interrupt you.
Quite dismayed at schools that are teaching this to their children, sometimes as young as 5. And yet the Department of Justice looked at that issue and decided to label the parents objecting to this teaching as domestic terrorists. Did you participate in discussions about the memo before it was issued?
Senator, I can't talk about internal deliberations.
You can't talk about whether
inside the
you
department.
participated in discussions about the memo?
No, but what I can tell you is that the Civil Rights Division will play a role going forward. The Attorney General has asked the department to undertake a review, and the division will participate in that review to determine how federal enforcement tools can be used to prosecute crimes.
Do you believe parents objecting to the teaching of critical race theory have civil rights in the democratic process?
I don't follow the question, Senator.
You don't understand the question whether parents objecting to critical race theory have civil rights?
The First Amendment is a core value in our democracy, and
I didn't say free speech. I said civil rights. School board meetings are democratic. They are petitioning your local government. Do they have civil rights that the voting rights gives a damn about?
Yet they have the right to express their view, to challenge the school boards, to ask.
And is
for
it beneficial for the Attorney General to label them as domestic terrorists and direct the FBI to target them?
The Attorney General's memo deals with threats against public servants and says that threats against public servants are not only illegal, they run counter to our nation's core values.
Do you believe parents objecting at school boards are domestic terrorists?
I don't, Senator.